Whenever we talk about India today in the larger parlance of international journalism, a lot of labels get thrown around when it comes to India. We call it electoral autocracy, we call it on the verge of fascism. Do you think these labels are premature, or do you think there is some amount of truth to it, some amount of accountability?
I hate pigeonholing, especially as big and as noisy and as varied polity, culture, economy like what India is. Uh, One could say that each of these categories are right or completely wrong because they have they capture aspects of the reality, but not all of them capture the entire reality. And I don't think that you can capture the entire complex reality of India in one catch all phrase.
India has always had a tradition of having multiple schools of thought, divergent ideas in contestation, goes back to the whole tradition of vivad that we have in our country. Are you worried that somewhere down the line that is eroding, that we no longer believe in agreeing to disagree?
Yeah, certainly I'm very worried about that. In fact, if there is any one thing that worries me, it's the restriction or the constriction of the intellectual space that is happening in India over the years. I know it is very convenient to make the BJP the whipping boy, that they are actually the instruments of this limitation. But it has been happening for some time. Much before the BJP came into the kind of dominance that it has today. It has been happening for some time, and it worries
A
me.
lot of discussions on freedom tend to go into the abstract realm. They tend to talk about in the intangible. But when we look at the implementation of freedom, we look at our institutions, we look at our courts, we look at the media. Do you think that institutionally we've let ourselves down over the last few years when it comes to preserving the essence of freedom?
Well, I would say the institutions have let us down. We have not that we have let ourselves down. The institutions have let us down. The judiciary, the bureaucracy, particularly, and the legislators. The quality of the legislators have been pointing southwards for a pretty long time. Politics has now become an avenue of a corrupt career. So that is what is getting reflected in our political life, and that's how one of the major pillars of our democracy is actually getting eroded. And it's true. Look at the universities. Let's not just look at the three pillars: judiciary, legislature, and the executive. But look at the universities. Look at the media. Everywhere, I think there has been a decline.
Is that as we enter the last quarter of the first century of Indian independence, could you give us one reason for hope, one reason for concern?
Concern is what I have formulated. That is my primary concern as a person embedded in the world of intellect. Naturally, intellectual freedom is a prime concern to me. But hope is that this might be what you just called very abstract, but I do hope that, I always hope and I believe that the people of India have an intrinsic strength to overcome obstacles, and this hope comes to me as a student of history. Over centuries, people of India have actually done that, and I'm sure they'll do that again.